I'm Dr. Robert Dew, one of the founding partners of Capfeather Global, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about branding today. And I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe a slightly different perspective on branding. Historically, people who've worked in marketing believe that they can build a brand. And what they've done to build a brand is push a series of communications that are designed to overwhelm customers into believing something that isn't true is true. And I'll explain to you what I mean by isn't true. Think about the classic, let's do the classic washing machine commercial or the classic washing detergent commercial, even better, right? Clothes that are whiter than white. Now I don't see how white can be whiter than white. I don't see how your clothes, particularly if they're green, could be whiter than white, but that's the push, right? That's the exaggeration. And the reason that that exaggeration's happened is because it's designed to try and get cut through. And for a while, this idea of making an exaggerated claim was really successful. However, the last time it was really successful was in the 50s and 60s, where you could bring out some kind of innovation, take it to market, broadcast it on mass media. People were fascinated with their televisions, so fascinated they were happy to watch the ads because they got new stuff out of their ads. And that was interesting, right? There's some new stuff in here. I'd watch the ad to see about that. And all the marketers did was try and present some useful hype that meant that you would try and trial. Right? The problem is nowadays, we are so chronically over-advertised to that most of us have this huge bullshit detector on our foreheads that screens out even suspected advertising before it even gets a chance. Secondly, what we've turned to is we've turned to product review sites and social media and reputation scoring things to be able to decide who we should buy off. We no longer believe what a company says about themselves. We far more believe what another customer who's dealt with that company says about it. And the last time you bought something, I bet you went online and I bet you did some research before you started. And if you're a really savvy purchaser, I bet you actually looked up the reviews from other customers if the purchase mattered to you to see whether or not what you were buying was a mistake or a good thing. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about an insurance policy to a type of car, to a new computer or a phone or a holiday or a hotel room or a restaurant, any of those things apply. We always look up what it's like to deal with the company and we ask other people indirectly by looking up their reviews what they think about that. So this means that we've now got this bifurcation in marketing strategy. One shift is this idea that we're going to do availability marketing. And you know what availability marketing is called if you're a customer, it's called spam. The idea is that I'm going to blister you as much as I can with enough volume that says, don't forget us, we're here. 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 And the idea is that it doesn't matter whether or not I have real benefits to get to you. What I'm trying to do is interrupt you in your life so that at the point of purchase where you're ready and triggered, I get to be considered. And there's a lot of availability marketing that works like that. There's a second version of marketing though that's really around trying to make this brand awareness thing occur. And there what we're trying to say is even though my product or service probably isn't much better than the alternative, because I've added this brand to it, I want to build some value into this brand. Now, sometimes the value that's built in their brand is based on something real, and sometimes it's based on vaporware. My classic example of this is branded milk. The milk that you get from Woolworths can either be the select milk or it could be milk from Paul's or Dairy Farmers or perhaps some other farmers union or some other kind of branded concern. What I'll say to you, and you already know this, is the Woolworths milk is always cheaper than the branded milk. Now here's my real question to you. Is it really better milk, the branded milk? Because you're paying substantially more for it. In some cases, twice as much, but at least 30% to 50% premium for it. Well, my wife used to work for a dairy company. I won't name them because they'll be very cross at me. And it turns out every year they sweated over whether or not they were going to win the tender for the supply of the Woolworths Select milk in the region that they were in. And the reason they wanted it is because it guaranteed that they sold some more volume, even though they sold it at a lower price than their branded milk. And even though they sold both the branded and the unbranded milk to Woolworths, right? What was interesting about that though, is it was the same milk in the same plastic containers. The only difference was the sticker on the front and the colour of the lid on the top. So it's exactly the same milk, but when you add a brand to it, you get some more value to it. Now, What's happening right now in this age of consumers is that reputation thing is eroding the value that you can claim from a brand because it becomes testable. And so you can't push brands at customers to be able to try and say that they're better. Is a Louis Vuitton handbag better? It's perceived as being more prestigious, and that's real. Is a set of Levi jeans better? That's a much harder question to answer, right? Is Levi better than G-Star or Just Jeans? Levi and G-Star are trying to build a premium for their brand. Just Jeans is not. Right? When you go and have a look, what you'll find at deep discounting places like DFO is there's no difference because, of course, it doesn't cost any difference to make the different jeans. Now, some places where brands do work are in markets like craft brewing, for example, where the craft beer really is different. So maybe you should pay a premium for its difference, even if it doesn't cost any more to make it. It's made in smaller volumes. Maybe it's better. So how do you actually build a brand? What we would suggest in this new age of marketing is instead of pushing spam at people to try and get into their availability set, or instead of trying to claim exaggerated features and benefits that don't exist, what you really need to do is build a differentiated experience. Because if you build an experience that's really good, your customers will talk about that experience because it's worth sharing. And when they talk about that experience because it's worth sharing, that will build your reputation, and you can attach that reputation to your brand, which of course sets the expectation for the next experience that you're going to provide. And then confirmation bias works for you because people see what they expect to see due to confirmation bias. The trick is, if you're going to build a brand that says you're somehow different or better, and that's why people should pay more or choose you more, it needs to be based on something that is actually a difference. You can't build it on vaporware. Now, my favourite example of vaporware is a company in New Zealand called Naked Water. The water's so pure that naked is spelled N-A-K-D. Right, you have to take an E out because it's so pure. They've got a beautiful picture on the website and copy that talks about how amazing the water is. And they've got this lovely picture of a New Zealand lake under a snow-capped mountain. It's incredibly amazing, just gorgeous scenery, very beautiful images, all of which is designed to convey the brand that somehow their water is purer and better for you than other water that you might buy. Now, it turns out if you properly read the copy on the website, the water doesn't come from the lake. It's not snowmelt off the mountain that's in the lake. It's actually water that comes up from the ground. So the technical term for that is bore water. It's artesian bore water. And they don't even bother to filter it properly, so it still has some solids left in it. So it's still got some sand in it because they haven't filtered it properly. The website claims that the colloidal solids, not sand, colloidal solids, because we're going to brand that, claims that the sand is actually not any better for your skin because it will youthen you, but it's like a cosmetic improvement. Right? Now, they claim that in a way that means that they can't actually be held accountable for that to be true. But think about it. So they want us to pay more for water that looks like it comes from the lake, but is actually bore water from the ground. They haven't bothered to filter it, so it's still got sand in it, but somehow that makes it better. Right? This conversation that we're having now, I'm sharing because the experience that they've given to me about making such an outrageous claim, so much based on marketing hype, that it's so bad that I would share it with you and warn you off it. Imagine the opposite for your firm. Imagine that you work out what makes your experience different and you build the things that customers talk about based on that difference. That builds your reputation in market. That's what builds your brand. And then the whole thing becomes a virtuous cycle.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to download a one-pager on how your customer experience links to your brand, click on the link below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this.